The strangest Christmas of my life began with a phone call I almost ignored. I was sitting in my car outside the hospital, eating cold fries between shifts, when my cousin called and asked me if I had heard the news. I laughed because I thought she was talking about the weather. Then she said, "They are having Christmas at the lake house without you." I remember looking through my windshield at the hospital entrance and feeling something inside me become completely still. I had spent years making sure that house was ready for Christmas. What nobody knew was that I had been secretly paying for it too. My name is Rachel Carter, and I was 39 years old. I worked nights as a hospice nurse, which meant I was used to difficult conversations. I knew how to tell families that their loved one might not make it through the night. I knew how to sit quietly beside someone who was afraid to die. But nothing prepared me for discovering that the people I had spent my entire life caring for had been discussing how to remove me from theirs. Our family had always revolved around a small house, near Lake Erie. My father bought the property when I was a teenager and slowly turned it into the place where every important memory happened. Thanksgiving dinners, summer birthdays, snow days, Christmas mornings, everything happened there. After Dad died, my mother inherited the house, but she also inherited a mountain of bills connected to it. 6 years earlier, she had asked me for help. She told me my younger brother and sister could never know because she was embarrassed about the debt. I was the responsible daughter, so I agreed. Every month, money quietly left my account to cover the mortgage, insurance, taxes, and repairs. I never told anyone. I thought I was protecting my mother's home and my father's memory. I also became the person who kept Christmas alive. I bought the gifts. I decorated the house. I ordered the food. I remembered every child's favorite dessert. I even bought extra presents because I knew someone would forget something. My family joked that Christmas could not happen without me. I believed that was a compliment. Then, 2 weeks before Christmas, my sister called me. She said the family had decided to make Christmas smaller this year. Just parents and children. She said there was no room for extra people because the children needed more privacy and attention. I waited for her to laugh. She did not. I asked, "What about me?" She became uncomfortable and said, "You are not exactly immediate family anymore." I actually thought I had misunderstood her. I was her sister. I had known her longer than her husband. I had held her children before they could walk. I had driven through snowstorms to help her when she was sick. I had spent years making sure Christmas was perfect for everyone. But suddenly, I was not immediate family. That night, I called my mother. She did not defend me. Instead, she said I should understand how difficult it was for parents to manage young children during the holidays. I asked her one question. "Did you agree with them?" There was a long silence. Then she said, "Rachel, please do not make this bigger than it is." That sentence hurt more than the exclusion, because she was right. I was about to make it bigger, but not in the way they expected. The next morning, I went to work and met an elderly patient named Helen. She was 90 and had a strange habit of asking questions that made people uncomfortable. I told her what happened because I was tired of pretending I was fine. She listened and then said, "You know what happens when you keep giving people everything?" I shook my head. They stop seeing it as a gift. They start seeing it as their property. I could not stop thinking about that sentence. That evening, I opened my laptop and did something I had never done before. I searched for a place where I could spend Christmas alone. I found a small coastal resort in Florida. It was not a luxury vacation. It was just a quiet hotel near the ocean. I booked 5 nights. Then I did something even more important. Stopped planning my family's Christmas. No decorations, no gifts, no grocery shopping, no last minute. Favors, nothing. My family noticed immediately. My sister texted, asking where the presents were. I did not answer. My brother called asking if I had already ordered the ham. I did not answer. Then my mother called. She asked if I was angry. I told her I was not angry, was simply no longer volunteering for a job nobody had hired me to do. 3 days later, I drove to Florida. On Christmas Eve, I sat alone near the ocean. At first, I felt ridiculous. Families were everywhere. Parents were carrying children. Couples were taking pictures. I wondered if my family had been right about me. Maybe I really was the person who did not belong anywhere. Then an older woman sitting nearby smiled at me and asked if I was waiting for someone. I said no. She smiled again and said, "Neither am I." We ended up talking for almost 2 hours. She told me she had spent 30 years trying to keep her family happy. Eventually, she realized something that took me years to understand. Some people only miss you when you stop doing things for them. That night, I posted one picture from the beach. There was no dramatic caption. I simply wrote, "Christmas feels different when you finally stop chasing people who do not chase you." By morning, my phone was full of messages. My sister was furious. My brother said I was humiliating the family. My mother said people from church were asking why I had gone away. Nobody asked if I was okay. Nobody asked if I was lonely. Nobody asked if I was enjoying Christmas. They only cared that other people could see me living without them. Then, my sister made a mistake. She sent me a screenshot from their private family. She meant to send it to my mother. Instead, she sent it to me. There were weeks of messages. They had discussed removing me from Christmas long before anyone told me. They had complained that I made the holiday too focused on tradition. They had joked that I would eventually get over it. Then I saw one message from my brother. "We should probably stop letting Rachel handle the lake house, too. She thinks that makes her important." I stared at the screen. Then I laughed. Not because it was funny, because they had no idea. They did not know the house was not being kept alive by some magical family budget. It was being kept alive by me. I opened my banking app and looked at the monthly payment. Then I canceled it. I did not warn them. I did not threaten them. I simply stopped. The next morning, my mother called in tears. She asked what I had done. I told her the truth. I had spent 6 years paying for a house where my own family had decided I did not belong. I told her I loved her, but I was finished confusing sacrifice with love. For the first time, she had nothing to say. The lake house eventually had to be sold. I expected to feel victorious. Instead, I cried. That house contained my father's voice, my childhood, and every Christmas I could remember. Losing it felt like losing him a second time. But there was something I had finally gained. I no longer had to buy my way into my own family. Months later, my mother came to my apartment. She looked older than she had before Christmas. She sat across from me and placed my father's old house key on the table. I asked why she was giving it back. She said, "Because I finally understand what he meant when he gave it to you." I waited, she said. "He did not give you that key because you owned the house. He gave it to you because he wanted you to know you always had somewhere to go." Then she started crying. She told me she had spent years being afraid of losing the house. She had never realized she was losing her daughter instead. I did not immediately forgive everything. Real life does not work that way. But I reached across the table and held her hand. That Christmas changed. The way I saw family forever. The following December, I hosted Christmas in my apartment. There was nothing impressive about it. The table was too small. The chairs did not match. One person brought store-bought pie. Another arrived wearing hospital scrubs because she had just finished a shift. But nobody was there because they owed me something. Nobody had to earn a place. Nobody was told they were too old, too young, too complicated, or not important enough. There was one empty chair beside me. I left it there, intentionally, because I wanted to remember the woman I used to be, the woman who believed love had to be earned, the woman who thought being useful meant being loved, the woman who would have paid anything just to remain invited. I finally understood that losing a seat at someone else's table is not always a tragedy. Sometimes it is an invitation to build your own. And when I looked around that Christmas evening, I realized something beautiful. For the first time, I was not surrounded by people who needed something from me. I was surrounded by people who simply wanted to be there. That was the Christmas gift my family never meant to give me. They taught me that I could walk away, and once I did, I discovered I had never actually been alone. I had only been sitting at the wrong table.